A Washington Post poll lists 8 choices for what people think the Trump administration's main goal is in Iran. The top response, show power or take control, which gets 14%. 14%. The lowest response, protecting U.S. and allies, gets 7%. So every answer, all 8, gets between 7 and 14%. The American people do not know why we're doing this. I mean, when you're getting no more than 14% for the each possibility, the American people is confused. They are confused. They don't know why we're doing this. And what you're seeing now is support falling basically along partisan lines. Republicans, a majority, support the president. Independents and Democrats are totally against the president on this war, which makes some sense because, look, I've told you guys for the past 20 plus years, I'm a registered independent. I haven't been a registered Republican in more than 2 decades, and I'm with the independents. You know, as I told you yesterday, most of my Republican audience is supporting the president on it, although a lot aren't. And actually, there's an interesting poll showing it's breaking down more severely along gender lines, where a hefty majority of women are against it, and men are split almost 50-50. So that's all very interesting, but there is no question that the American people don't understand why we're doing it. So they're kind of resorting, the hard partisans, Dems and Republicans, are resorting to their partisan stripes. Like, I support Trump, I hate Trump, and kind of going from there. It's also hard to follow what's actually been happening on the ground. After all, we have no ground troops in Iran yet, but here's the latest as we understand it. According to multiple reports, the Israeli Air Force struck a building where senior clerics had gathered in Iran to elect the new supreme leader. The Assembly of Experts has 88 members, though it's not known how many were in the building at the time or if there were any casualties. I mean, why are they still meeting above ground? You have to ask yourself, that doesn't seem smart. Not exactly sure what they're thinking over there. Iran is also fighting back outside of its borders, and somewhat effectively. Both the U.S. embassies in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait are now closed after they came under drone attacks. As of now, thank God, no reported casualties. We hope it stays that way. But they are definitely causing trouble for the United States and for Israel. Before we get into the details of that, the State Department, not taking any chances, officially urging all Americans in the region to, quote, depart now due to serious safety risks, but people cannot get out. I mean, have you seen the videos of the long, long lines at the airport in places like Dubai? They can't get out. They didn't have a heads up that this was going to happen. And now they're being told, get out now, get out now. Well, they can't. The lines are too long. The flights are too few. There's chaos at the airports. And there are a lot of Americans over there who are starting to panic that they may not be able to get out as the interceptors that stop the missiles from falling on these areas are running low. And that's one scary piece of all this. Iran, while it may or may not have been building up its nuclear arsenal since we devastated it, or obliterated, to use Trump's word, in late June, it certainly has been building up its missile storage capacity, thanks to, in part, China. We read, and Russia. We read about Russia shipping it a bunch of missiles that were intercepted by the United States on one Navy vessel not long ago, but plenty more have gotten through because they seem amply supplied to be targeting all of these U.S. outposts, our military bases, not to mention all over Israel. And both the U.S. and Israel are running low, reportedly, we'll get into it, the president's disputing it, on these interceptors, which would make the missiles ineffective. And by the way, the interceptors are extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. But you know what we were doing? Giving them to Ukraine for the past few years and giving them to Israel over the past year or so, and using them to fight the Houthis in what turned out to be a rather brief conflict, using them ourselves when we went into Iran over the summer. I mean, we're low, according to an independent analysis of where we are. The president, I'll tell you exactly what he's saying. He's admitting some of it and denying others. But the point is, do we have enough interceptors? Because if we don't, and if we let these military bases sit as exposed targets who can't stop the missiles, that's a deep problem. We start today with one of the brightest minds in the defense industry. Erik Prince is co-founder of Unplugged Technologies. Erik Prince is on the record warning President Trump against sending ground forces into Iran and was against this conflict. But now that it's started, definitely has thoughts, having been all over the previous Middle East conflicts that we've experienced these past 25 years. Erik, welcome back. Great to see you.
Thanks, Megan. Nice to be back.
Okay, so let's just start with your overall view on whether this was a good idea. I know you've said you don't really think so, but explain why.
Look, I am no fan of the Iranians or of the mullahs, and glad to see the supreme leader gone. I mean, I've been on the Iranian hit list for years. I was personally denounced by the guy twice, but I don't necessarily agree with this approach to doing it. And I definitely do not understand how we allowed ourselves to be dragged in by the Israelis. And their problems are not necessarily our problems. I think how we got to that decision, that certainly there'll be books written about that. I am all in favor. As America comes towards 250 years, we probably need to declare our independence from what Washington warned about, overseas entangling alliances that drag us into this situation. I agree with Tucker. I think the president was extremely uncomfortable in doing these strikes, whether he was arm twisted, coerced, extorted. I don't know. I don't have that kind of information, but I can't imagine anybody that thinks this is a fantastic idea other than the typical neocon chorus. The last big push last summer, right, the 12-day war, it burned through 16 years worth of interceptor production. And now we're having to pull huge amount of supply out of Indo-PACOM, war reserve for that.
What's right?
That? Our supply in the Pacific, right? The different theater. So we're pulling down magazine supply from there to try to defend all these U.S. facilities in the Gulf from being smashed. The Iranians are really good at asymmetric warfare, meaning high payoff, low cost for them. They built that $20,000-$30,000 drone, which costs the United States $1 million to $3 million per drone to shoot down because our interceptor missiles are so expensive. The Iranians have built thousands and thousands and thousands of those. There's 44,000 mountains in Iran, and they've been busy tunneling for years. I would have hoped that a lesson was taken from the conflict against the Houthis. Remember, the Houthis were in Yemen. They're shooting a lot of missiles at ships passing by, jamming up the southern end of the Suez Canal. And for all the billions of dollars of precision weaponry we tried to do, never really degraded the Houthis' ability to keep shooting at ships. And now to go into Iran, into their prepared homeland. Iran does not have an Independence Day because they've not been conquered since Alexander the Great, hundreds of years before Christ. So I just don't. Look. I think it's great. I appreciate what the president said 2 days ago when he said, I've paid a great gift to the Iranian people in killing the mullahs, the leadership of the Iranian government that killed all those thousands and thousands of protesters. Great. Good on them. But now declare victory and be done. Treat it like a punitive Roman raid, right? When Rome, the Roman Empire, had been getting ravaged for years and years by the Carthaginians, by Hannibal, right? The guy who took elephants in. When he came, the Roman Senate met after the Battle of Cannae. I think there was 80,000 Romans killed in that one battle in the morning. And the senator said, Carthage must be destroyed. So they sent Scipio Africanus, punitive raid. That worked. Carthage was not a problem again. This is a way for Trump to do it to Iran, pound them. He's done that, fine. They just struck Trump said the people we were thinking would take over, they're dead too. Not sure that's going to be. Let that be the message to the Iranians to say, behave, be decent to the Iranian people, or we'll come back and do it again. I think the other construct that should be offered to the mullahs is to give them a city like Mashhad and let that be their holy city, their Vatican. They can go whatever strict super Shia supremacy, Islamic fundamentalism there, fine. Let the rest of the Iranian people breathe free. But the president is not well advised if people are telling him to go deeper and deeper and deeper into this for weeks, because our interceptors are exceedingly expensive. The Iranian weaponry is relatively very cheap, and they have built lots and lots of those, and they will smash not just U.S. facilities, but the other Gulf infrastructure, which they've been very active at. And this is not going to go so well for the United States. So I would encourage them to declare a punitive raid, deliver the lesson. And it's clearly unprecedented, amazing intelligence that they were able to strike that many high-value targets at one time. But this idea of trying to foment regime change to the perfect person and the idea of putting ground troops is extremely bad. Extremely bad.
Why?
Please do not.
Why is it bad?
Well, we had a hard time. The United States had a hard time pacifying Iraq. Iraq has effectively been lost to Iran as it is. There's a 250,000 man Shia militia that is loyal to Iran. Those are the guys that have been shooting missiles and drones at U.S. facilities just over the last few days. But it took us trillions of dollars and thousands of lives to try to pacify Iraq, which was less than a third, almost a quarter of the size of Iran. So the idea that we're going to do it to a much better prepared Iran with the IRGC is it's a 10x worse decision than going into Iraq was.
That's scary. And yet the president said yesterday he doesn't get the yips when it comes to putting ground troops in. And, even Tom Cotton was on the Sunday shows suggesting, maybe a small ground force if we need to. But clearly they're opening that possibility because everyone, experts like you, who have been neck deep in warfare for a long time, have said there's not really going to be a regime change unless you actually do put boots on the ground. That's not something we can do from the air, not at least in a country like Iran, which doesn't have just 40 leaders who were there running the country or who were hit at that meeting weren't anywhere near to, quote, the regime. There are tens of thousands who make up the regime.
Correct. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps really behaves like the old SS in a Nazi Germany state. They are a military power unto themselves, really with effectively more power than the Iranian military. They are hyper loyal to the regime. They are of, by, and for the regime. That's how they make money as well. And the Iranians have really gone to a dispersed command and control system, figuring that the West would smash their command and control infrastructure. They dispersed that authority and responsibility out to the various regional commands to maximize the mayhem that they can spread. So this is a exceedingly difficult situation.
Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. Okay, $20,000 got you 33 ounces. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. That would have been a very good investment. And that's why so many smart Americans do diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. They're thinking about what's going to happen in the next 20 years. And it's also why you should consider buying gold from Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth. And today, it is a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. All you have to do is text MK to the number 989898, and that will give you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation. It's just useful information from which you can make a decision. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Now that's peace of mind. Again, text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.